Hey, Star Wars fans and Rule the Galaxy fans, and welcome to another chapter of Rule the Galaxy. This is chapter 176 this week, and this is your host, DDoc, in the pilot seat right now. Joe was stuck with some travel plans, so we're holding it down. This is like the Andor theme because it is me, Brent, and Alfie, and I'm going to go around the room and see how you guys are doing. So, Brent, I'm going to start with you. How are you doing this week?
I'm just upset that Joe is in Space Miami and might get picked up by a K2 droid. Like, I'm just worried that he's in Space Miami and gonna get caught up, and he's just a tourist. Like, I'm afraid he's gonna go into Andor.
Just
Aside
don't
from
run or
that,
be
I'm
sweaty.
doing right. Just don't be sweaty and have somebody else do something around you. Because I mean, that's 6 years now that you got to go to prison. I'm
Yeah,
good.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying I'm good. Getting excited. I know we like to bring in some of the other stuff, but I want to give a congratulations one to you getting tickets to what, game four or game
Yes,
five of the NLCS?
it was game four.
Game
And
four.
the original tickets that my brother was trying to get were for game five. So I would have seen them clinch, but I was lucky enough to get face value tickets. So it
Right.
was the
So
best game I've ever seen.
face value tickets, and they had to come from behind. I would like to go to that. I would rather be at that one. I mean, the clinching does give you a little bit of excitement, but
Yes.
coming from behind and taking taking it.
So that game started off where I'm like so excited that the pregame is electric. The crowd is crazy before the game even starts. And then the Padres come in and score 4 runs in the top of the first. And I'm sitting there just like, is this going to be one of those games where I'm like so jacked up to come here? Because I've seen the Eagles play the Seahawks during the Legion of Boom live way too many times, and I saw them lose to the Seahawks every time. I would always buy the Seahawks tickets for some reason, but yeah, they came back. First inning, the man standing next to me fell backwards into the row of people in front of us and took a couple people out. It was a hell of a way to start the game. He was the craziest guy in the stadium, probably. So it was an experience. It really was.
Awesome. So yeah,
You know what?
congratulations to your Phillies. They
Yes.
start up. They start up on Friday. Whenever you listen to this, they start up on Friday. What, the 28th of October. So
Yeah.
good luck to the Phils, and may they beat the cheaters.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Brent. I'm very nervous. I've just been kind of trying to calm down after we won that Padres series. So thank you. Alfie, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, congratulations on the Phillies. Let's see what happens next. Um, Doing good, man. I've really hoping for some big news this week. So maybe next week's episode, I'll be able to share that without jinxing myself. So we'll see what happens.
Is
All
this
right.
work related?
No, this
Oh,
is home related.
okay.
All right. I like it. So we've got early mystery. So I love it.
50
So I
Alfie
actually
points if anybody figures it out.
I know exactly. 50 Alfie points. You'll have to tap into like his phone records or his bank accounts or something.
Please stay
um
away from the bank account. Please.
yeah,
He's
exactly.
got toys to buy. He's got Star Wars
Uh,
toys to buy. Stay away from the bank account.
Yes. So I actually do have some Star Wars news to talk about. Honestly, this last week of Star Wars has been pretty freaking crazy, honestly. There's been a lot of stuff going on.
yep.
Some stuff scheduled and some stuff unexpected. The first news I have on the docket here is this mystery writers room in this Star Wars movie that's apparently happening now. This seems legit to me. It seems even more legit to me than the Taika Waititi stuff. This seems like there's something happening. What do you think? I'm going to Alfie first. Who's the director? I forget the directors or the writer.
I
Not the
got it right
director, the
here.
writers.
It's J.J. Abrams' right hand man who helped him write, I believe, The Force Awakens and maybe some Lost.
Damon Lindelof.
Okay.
Lindelof. Yes, he was, heavily involved in Lost, the Star Trek movies. I want to say, I could be wrong, because I know Kazan gets the writing credits for The Force Awakens, but I think he was pretty deep in the early stages of The Force Awakens. Basically, this is, a fellow J.J. Abrams mystery box guy. So I don't know. I really like Prometheus. I know some people don't like that movie. I liked it. Once again, just like with most of his projects, I would have liked to seen some continuation of the at some point in these stories, you want to see the mystery box opened and explained and make some sense. And I think that's, to me, where this group of guys, I will say, like the Bad Robot guys, that's where I get let down by them a lot. Is when we get to the end, you're still going, but wait, there's still like 7 things you didn't answer.
Yeah,
we just forget about them.
Yep.
I've heard about this one being in development, rumored to be in development for quite a long time. Right up there with the 5G movie and the Watini movie. Ideas are easy when you're sitting in a room full of talented people, just, hey, here's an idea. Let's flesh this out for a little bit. How far are they? We don't know. Seems to be that hurdle that Lucasfilm is having, getting over that, turning an idea into an actual product.
Mm-hmm.
Getting down and making a script out of an idea seems to where we get lost here. So I'm hopeful. Everybody knows I'm a very positive person, so I'm sure that this is going to be a great project. And we're going to enjoy the heck out of it when we finally see it. It'll be done in a timely manner and with little to no hiccups or delays.
Yeah.
I agree. You hit it right on the head. What do you think, Brent?
No hiccups or delays, but I think we had this conversation. There was some social media post, I think it was on my book face, that had The Rock, and it was The Rock actually posted it. There was the news from The Rock, and it had a picture of him 15 years ago when he was first attached to Black Adam. Right. And that movie just came out, right? So what Alfie and I get back and forth into is the idea that Marvel, you don't hear about the movies that Marvel makes.
That's not Marvel.
I know that's DC, but I'm saying we get in the back and forth between Marvel and Disney.
Well,
and
you can't say Marvel when it's a DC movie.
I can, because we get into a back and forth argument when it comes to our Marvel and DC both having Disney as the parent company. What
DC doesn't have Disney as the parent company.
I got you, but it's movies. Movies take time. Movies go into development, get put on the shelf, get into development, put on the shelf. Movies take time to get
Name
made.
a Marvel movie that happened to that took 15 years.
Here's the deal, man. I don't follow Marvel. I don't.
You keep saying Marvel, so you shouldn't have brought that up, because I'm going to keep pushing back on that.
And I understand that you're going to do this, and this is the odd couple part. But what I'm going to say is, in movie making, it takes time. He was attached to a project. He wanted to make Black Adam.
He's also The Rock.
It was 15 years. James Cameron wanted to make Avatar. It took 10 years for him to make Avatar.
It took 10 years for him to develop the 3D camera to make Avatar.
It took 10 years for him to make Avatar.
Right.
Things
He never put that on a shelf, though, and said, we're done with that for now.
I don't know enough about it, but sure.
My point is, name an actor in current Star Wars that has the power to fight for a movie for 15 years.
Correct. Right now,
that's The Rock. I completely get your argument. I get it. I agree. There's no reason why the rumored Old Republic movie that's sitting on a shelf somewhere in Lucasfilm can't be dusted off one day and remade by a different director. There's no reason why it can't. It happened with Boba Fett. We had a movie with a sizzle reel. The director lost his mind or whatever. They put it on a shelf. It became The Mandalorian. Kenobi was a movie. It was a trilogy. It was a series. It was nothing. And a guy says, "Hey, with star power," says, I'll come in on that project," and boom, we get a 6-part miniseries. It can happen. But
Christian Bale. That's who I'm holding out hope for. Christian
it can't
Bale.
keep happening to every project that you are working on.
Well, and I'm sure DDoc's going to get to this, but another piece of news is they told Kathleen Kennedy to keep her mouth shut because they don't want people knowing that there's these, because it takes so long. They don't want the information to get out because of this conversation that we're having. Because
you keep
there are
saying it takes so long, but that's not their issue. Is that it takes so long? Their issue is they put the cart before the horse and say, "Hey, you're hot. You want to make a Star Wars movie? Sure, I'd like to make a Star Wars movie. I got great ideas, guys. Let's, I got a whole bucket of Star Wars toys right here. Here, this guy does this, blah, 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 blah. Here's my movie." Then we get to making it and they say, "Whoa, you're too overbearing. This isn't what I want to do." All of a sudden, I've got another movie that I have to work on. Maybe we'll put a pin in it for now. That's a good way to paraphrase it. When in meeting jargon here, when someone says we'll put a pin in it, when do you ever go back to that pin?
For Black Adam, it took him 15 years to go back to that pin.
It took The Rock
it
15 years.
And he had to build that star power to do that. But but what I'm getting at is movie making is not a linear process. Movie making is very roller coaster.
And if you have somebody that has that much power, they can get it made. The same thing happened. He said, when he first became an actor, "I am playing Hercules." And it took forever to make a Hercules movie, but it eventually happened. But he is The Rock. I mean, think of his list of, the Tooth Fairy movies or whatever that he made into blockbusters. Name a bad Rock movie that didn't make a good amount of money.
Game Plan?
People probably still showed up for it. That is one thing I would love to see is box office totals for Dwayne Johnson, honestly, because he does bring
another interesting thing, since you brought that article up, because I'm going to plug this, is that he said he was adamant that Henry Cavill come back as Superman.
Yep, and they supposedly just shot the Henry Cavill post-credit scene.
I watched it.
The post-credit scene a week before the release. I mean, it was one of the last minute things to throw in at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, DC, they got a huge shakeup. James Gunn is in charge, or is it James Gunn? Or James Gunn is in charge of DC now, essentially.
Yeah, DC was very similar to Star Wars here. They had a long list of projects that were coming out and that never saw the light of day for one reason or another. I mean, they've got a movie that they actually made that will never be seen by anyone.
Yep. And that's what I saw, you guys spoke about this on the podcast last week, but that one, higher up woman who was with Lucasfilm,
Michelle Rejwan.
Yes. The one who changed her role. I saw DC make this move where they were just like, James Gunn knows how to connect to an audience. It's been proven in his Marvel movies. He proved it when he made his new Suicide Squad movie, whether you liked it or not. I mean, I thought it was a good movie. I mean, apparently the John Cena movie that he's doing, or the John Cena show that he's doing on HBO, is pretty good. And yes, and I can't help but to think, if Disney's not sitting here saying, we maybe we shake things up a little bit. When you see DC doing that, I mean, Star Wars is in a much better place than DC, in my opinion. I know we have our criticisms of everything, but it's like we're still getting some good stuff from Star Wars, but
it could be a lot more and a lot better.
Yes.
And it's not Disney. And see, this is with the other part too. It's not Disney. Lucasfilm still runs everything.
Right.
Disney will come in and say, just like right now, I'll let you. It's a hands off until you start making us look bad, which is why they came in and said Kathleen Kennedy. And I don't know to the degree, and I didn't read all of the stories, but it's basically like, hey, look, stop putting the cart before the horse. Stop making these announcements. Stop letting these leaks. Get your house in order, because it's making us look like we don't know what we're doing. because these people are getting this information out way too soon.
All it
Yep.
takes is the wrong person to get in charge. And I understand that Marvel and Lucasfilm are different companies. I completely get that. But all it takes is the wrong person to be in charge to say enough is enough. You guys had your time. You
Yeah.
piddled it away. Now we do things the mouse way.
Sure.
And you're going to start cranking stuff out.
Yeah. Yep. It's only a matter of time. And I honestly, I have a feeling something's going to go down with Star Wars.
I always go
pretty
back
soon.
to because of the company that I work for. You remember when Snapple was really great? Everybody
Yes.
loved Snapple, and then all of a sudden it sucked. That's
I do
because
actually.
yeah, because the big company came in and said, you know what? We can make so much more of this for so much less and make a boatload of money off of it until we run it into the ground. And all of a sudden it sucked. And I don't want that to happen to Lucasfilm because Lucasfilm is a nice company, a nice little, company with the story. You watch that behind the scenes, and I mean, there's a history there. There's a reason why people like the product so much after all these years. You don't want to see that get sterilized by a big corporation.
Yes, I agree. Are you guys good on that topic? Because I do have another one or two news topics to hit on before we go into these awesome shows. Number one, I'm going to hit on, and this is random, and it came up tonight. And I know you guys have kids, and I never saw this before. Have any of you guys ever seen the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars special?
Yes. Mhm.
I didn't know anything about this Phineas and Ferb show.
Is it still on Disney Plus?
It's on Disney Plus. My little guy randomly started watching it, and here I am looking it up. Like, is this okay for, he's just about 6 now. I'm like, is this all right for him to watch? It seems like a good show to me.
It's
All of
pretty
a sudden
good.
tonight, I hear Star Wars music playing. He was in my room. I walk in there and I see this Star Destroyer with a skyscraper on top of it. And I'm like, what are you watching right now? He's like, oh, it's Phineas and Ferb Star Wars. And yeah, they did this special on it. It was great. Like, I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was excellent. So if any of you guys have kids, check out Phineas
It's
and
been a
Ferb
long
Star
time
Wars
since I've
special.
seen it, but it was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I don't
was
watch
fun.
cartoons. I'm too old for cartoons.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
Just
I
how
know,
we're gonna
right?
be tonight, Brent.
I was gonna say we got a topic, tonight that has to do a bit with animation.
Well, it's what is so? It always bothers me. Yes, it's a damn cartoon. Like what? What's the problem with calling it a cartoon? Because then there are people that get triggered because you call it a cartoon and not an animated series. Why does it matter? Like,
I'm not
why
one of
does it
those
matter?
people.
Right, but I'm just like, why does that trigger people? Like, really, in all of the things in the world, you're going to be upset because we call it cartoon instead of an animated series.
Animation and cartoons to me are just one and the
same
same essentially. Yeah, I mean you have like 3D animated or 2D animated. Choose your player. It's still animation. It's not live action. So yeah, Phineas and Ferb. That was a random point. And then short toy talk. I have toy talk on the list. Best Buy is the GOAT of Black Series figures right now. And Alfie has mentioned it, and I was just there the other day. Their shelves are loaded. They've got deals. I know I'm putting this out there and, to whoever listens to us, but if you are searching for Star Wars Black Series or even Funko Pops, at mine, the Funkos are loaded. Like, they are loaded. Marvel Legends, everything. Those new Avatar figures from McFarlane, which are incredible, which I'm adding those to my Christmas list, even though I don't even like Avatar that much. Best Buy has the toy selection. So shout out to Best Buy.
And check every week online. Get the app and just look. Take a few seconds and look. They run that stuff on clearance all the time.
Seriously, they had probably 8 of the Moff Gideons for $10, and I didn't buy it yet because I had the wrong card on me when I was there at the time. So I did not buy it because my wife wouldn't have known I bought it. Because I was there to look at new computers, and I didn't want to see Star Wars Black Series show up on the on the list.
Just a word of advice: do not pre-order from Best Buy. don't.
Okay.
But yeah, they are great for stuff. I don't know why they sell toys, because the Black Series figures, if you just wait, a few weeks, they go on clearance.
They were loaded. They had all of them. They had multiple Leias, different versions of her in Black Series. They had the Moff Gideon. What is that called? The token series.
The credit collection.
Credit collection. They had all kinds of Marvel Legends, which they had a Wolverine and an old school Iron Man that I was extremely tempted to buy. The two of those were beautiful looking figures. And I did see one of my cardboard Black Panther figures there, which again, I'll double, triple, go down on it 10 times that. Yeah, they're horrible. The screen, the display on those figures is just pure terrible.
It's beautiful box art, guys. You're taking away credit from the graphic designers on their box art.
I've seen better stuff from individual creators on TikTok and Instagram of guys who just take pictures of their figures.
I like the Boba Fett one that I got, because it does kind of remind me of the way Star Wars, the little, I can't remember what they're called, battle packs. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, the little ships. They came in a box like that. But it's just the world we live in today. I just cannot feel comfortable buying a cardboard box like that, knowing that there is a good chance that it's either damaged, or there's nothing inside, or half of something inside.
Yep.
And I don't really want to be that guy that opens it in the aisle. I don't want to be that person, but
yeah. I do that with plumbing parts.
Yeah.
I've had too many times where I've bought in a valve or something like that.
And the O-rings are missing.
Took the washers out of it, and then there you are. You got to go back. And I
do that at work all the time. I'm guilty of it.
Yep. And I'm just like, nope. I need to. Every time I'm in the aisle, even if it's a faucet, I'll open them up. I'll look for one that's already got those little strips taken off, and I'll see what I'm looking for. Yeah. People take stuff out of boxes in stores. Brent, do you have any Legion news for Toy Talk this week, or are you good?
I was just going to bring up the Star Wars Galaxy. I pulled it up, that Bring Home the Galaxy. They're doing, I brought it up last week. StarWars.com is doing a weekly blog about toys and items to bring home the galaxy. They highlight 4 or 5 different things each week. So a couple of the toys they're highlighting is the Advent calendar, the Star Wars Lego Star Wars Advent calendar.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, so they got that on there. I'd possibly pre-order it, yada. They have, like, I'm gonna call it like an ugly Christmas sweater Star Wars like Hawaiian shirt. So it's like a Hawaiian shirt with like a print, and they have a picture of a family, everybody in the family wearing it is there. And then another one, the other ones are toy. There's like a Inquisitor lightsaber from it's the toy version, not the collector's version, but the toy version from Hasbro. A Darth Vader model, and then there's a Millennium Falcon. They call it a Han Solo wristwatch. So those are the toys that are there. I was late getting hooked up to the show because I was painting up some Black Sun, put together my Mandos and Grogus. I may shoot you a picture or something so you can put it out on social media when I finally get them painted. But
I would like to see those.
Yeah.
And we have this new Clone Wars tabletop game that I've read is starting to hit shelves in Targets.
Yeah,
I think it's from Fantasy Flight too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Fantasy Flight. It's based on Pandemic. So if you've ever played the game Pandemic, or like I think the online version, it's basically a virus takes over. It's a co-op. There's some sort of AI mechanic where you're playing against, you as like 2 or 3 players are playing on the same team to try to stop the other side. So there's some sort of AI mechanic that controls the other side, and you're trying to stop it. They have like an Asajj Ventress model. There's a Darth Maul, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they look like they'll be nice to paint up, honestly. Those figures that come with it, for the price on that, it looks like it's a good value. I actually plan on buying that, even even if it's just to paint up those figures, but I plan to play it with my brother at some point. So that's pretty much what I've got for news, unless you guys have anything else. And now I'm gonna let you guys choose. Do we hit Tales of the Jedi first, or do we hit Andor first? What do you think?
I'll let
I
Alfie choose.
All right, it's up to Alfie. Alfie can make the call. I have notes on both of them.
Do we want a positive conversation or a negative one? Which direction do we want to go?
I'd say let's go positive. Let's go positive. To
Okay,
start off.
let's talk about Tales of the Jedi then.
All right, all right. So we have our Dooku and Ahsoka. We have a 6-episode series that I watched all together last night after I watched Andor. I watched it in order, although I could see that there were the Ahsoka and Dooku episodes were kind of separated interestingly, but I was like, you know what? This is the way they had it, 1 through 6, so this is how I'm going to watch it. What were your guys' impressions overall on this, just to start? We'll dive into it, but Alfie, what do you think about it as a whole?
As a whole, I thought it was pretty good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed the Dooku episodes, I think, more than the Ahsoka ones. I have a reason for that, and I don't really consider it to be negative. I just feel like we've chosen to go live action with Ahsoka now, and I think that's the way I would like to see the story go. I just don't know that there's that much left to tell animation wise in her story. I think the 3rd episode was pretty good, the strongest, story wise. But I just found the Dooku ones a little more interesting. They had more to tell.
Yeah, a little more mystery there. What did you think, Brent?
So Alfie said that this is going to be a positive, but I mean, I'm going to sit here and say that I was disappointed. I was disappointed in the one. My head canon for the Dooku timeline and him leaving the Jedi Order happened a lot sooner than when it did in the shows, right? So it was messing with my head as I was watching. I thought he had already left the Jedi Order when all that stuff went down.
What stuff specifically?
So I thought he had already left when by the time, because what is it? Attack of the Clones,
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, like when Qui-Gon was murdered, I thought he had left. I thought he had left.
I think he already had left.
So then why was he walking around? I mean, so just because he was a former Jedi? The
novel says that he visits the temple from time to time. He's still allowed to go and meet with the council. Is it Master and Apprentice?
Okay.
I've read that there was some stuff from what the hell is Dooku has his own novel, right?
There's a couple of them.
Path to Darkness or something like that. I forget the name of it. But Brent, I'm with you on that actually. Like when Qui-Gon showed up and went to go on the elevator and say, we encountered a Sith. I'm just like, wait a second, is this Phantom Menace? Like he's just showing up and Dooku is still there. Dooku looks way too young to me for Qui-Gon to be an older man at this point. I thought Dooku should have had some gray hair or something at this point.
Well, being a Sith, it really takes its toll on you.
All they did was point his beard a bit, like that's why I was trying to is there age difference to him? I thought they could have aged him a bit more.
I do agree with you guys that it was a little muddy on whether or not in the 2nd episode, or I'm sorry, the 3rd episode, was he still in the Order or had he left?
Right.
I think I'm just going off the top of my head here. I'm thinking that there's supposed to be a 10-year gap between probably episode 2 and 3. Okay. Because by the Phantom Menace, he originally had left the Order 10 years prior, but the novels and I don't know, man. I hate bringing up stuff in novels because I don't know if it's it's
Right.
true anymore or whatever, but
Right.
his story was basically that he was respected enough, and even Yoda allowed him to keep his lightsaber. He tried to turn it in, and Yoda said to keep it.
And so I guess that was where I'm going with it, is I just don't know any of the lore. So my head canon was he wasn't allowed back at the temple. So when he was doing all that stuff, and when he comes back and talks to Qui-Gon right after Qui-Gon talked, basically right after he got out the elevator, when he was talking about Anakin, that was an issue. The other
Right.
one was I wanted to see Plo Koon. I'm sorry. I wanted to see how she got put into the Jedi Order. Now I understand that she wrote in on the cat, and that Grandma said that she is a Jedi, but I
Mhm.
wanted to see Plo Koon, because Plo Koon's supposed to be the one who discovered her. I wanted to see that, and I didn't get that, and so that I'm disappointed by that.
You could have seen that, but I thought that had already been shown in the Clone Wars. But there's no reason why they couldn't have shown it again. I agree with you.
I mean, it was just a little small clip in this Clone Wars that I remember.
Right.
She was really a real small kid, and Plo was like looking down at her, and that's about all. I mean, I don't know much about the scene, but I don't know. I was hoping to. I guess I was hoping to see Plo Koon, and I was hoping to see that part be told, and I didn't get that. So that's why those two things are just kind of where I was disappointed. I dug the first Dooku one, because I really love, you could see where the turn was coming. You could see where he tapped into his anger. You can see where Qui-Gon kind of pulled him back, but you could start to see the turn of Dooku. I
Right.
love that first one. That first one I thought was probably one of my favorites out of all six.
I agree with that, actually. I thought that first one with Dooku and Qui-Gon was good, and it's cool to think that Liam Neeson's son was voicing Qui-Gon for that episode. I thought the animation was next level, even another step up from Bad Batch, in my opinion. Wouldn't it have been cool to see the animated version of young Anakin possibly at the Jedi Temple during that last Dooku episode, where you could have seen possibly Qui-Gon with young Anakin and see what he would have looked like Clone Wars animation wise? Because we never saw Pod Racer Anakin and, any flashbacks or anything like that, right? In Clone Wars?
There was one episode where you see a young Anakin talking to Qui-Gon Jinn's ghost.
Okay.
But off the top of my head, I can't remember how old he was, but in my mind, he was very young.
Like add Anakin into that scene of Qui-Gon going on to the elevator, and just him like putting his arm around Anakin, and that elevator starts going up, and Dooku kind of like lightly says hi to Anakin, and then what happens in the future. I thought that would have been pretty cool. Like,
Yeah,
that's
because
just
in the novel, and like you said, there's multiple novels. I could be getting them mixed up, but I'm pretty sure that there is a scene of this exact moment that was in this episode. I almost said cartoon, sorry. But from Obi-Wan's perspective. And he sees Count Dooku and is remarking on the fact that he's allowed back, and that his master holds him in such high regard, never has anything negative to say about him.
Yep.
So I agree with you. It would have been kind of neat to see Anakin too.
Yep.
I'm sure all of the Clone Wars fanboys and fangirls were super excited to hear Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lantern, and James Arnold Taylor all get together for that episode.
Yep. Which James Arnold Taylor, when my kids started watching Phineas and Ferb, he voices one of the main characters of that entire show. So, I'm pretty sure it's James Arnold Taylor. Yeah, pretty sure it's him. He's one of the Phineas and Ferb main characters for the entire show. So there's another Star Wars connection to that. What were you gonna say, Alfie?
Anakin wouldn't have been in this scene. I was just thinking about it. He's at the Senate.
Okay, he's with Padme.
He's with Padme because he goes back to the temple after she makes her speech. The Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan go first. They have that nice scene on the balcony, and then later that night, Anakin is in front of the council.
Okay. You're right. Yep. And I mean, I loved hearing Liam Neeson and seeing Qui-Gon Jinn again. I mean, it was fun. I wanted more Qui-Gon honestly involved in this,
Yeah.
which maybe we'll get a Tales of the Jedi Qui-Gon at some point, which would be incredible. Um, I thought it was cool to see his relationship with Dooku and everything. Um, the Ahsoka one, I enjoyed it. Like as you guys said, like the Clone Wars like the Clone Wars mega fans, I'm sure were just like hyped as hell last night, which I enjoyed it because Clone Wars was something I personally did not come into until about 3 years ago, probably. So I'm a late Clone Wars fan. I didn't get it. And by season 5, I understood it. I understood the love of Ahsoka. I understood all of that. Um, the one episode was essentially just Ahsoka doing all that training stuff, though, and
Hmm.
just basically getting hit with stun blasters and kind of, the final scene hit on that episode, with her and Rex going into that room saying, hopefully all that training paid off and you know what happens. But
Because
what do you got, Brent?
that was the season 7 where she like when he's going in, they're fighting because of whatchamacallit, the
Order 66.
there
Yep.
you go. I couldn't think of the name of it. So yeah,
That's when he convinced her, that's the soldiers, my brother's line, we'll kill you and anything around us, to stop what you're doing, or whatever that line was.
Yeah.
So it was good to get some more Rex. We got a lot of Yaddle too. What did you guys think of that? I'm laughing at Brent. If you're watching YouTube, you should.
I mean,
It was a little brutal there at the end. It's a little excessive.
I have not for kids written in my notes, actually. I did not think this 6-episode series is really like, I don't know that I would sit my 6-year-old down and be like, check this out.
So it's for all, well, it's aged with the people that were fans of it.
I agree. Yeah.
And so the people that were
too bad. Don't get me wrong.
The people that are fans of the fans of the Clone Wars were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're now 15 years. How long, Alfie? I'm gonna probably throw out a number out, but about 15 years from when it happened.
What are we talking about?
Clone Wars. From the start of Clone Wars.
Wasn't that like 2005? I think. Yeah,
okay.
Probably somewhere around there. I'm with you.
So 15, 17 years, right? So these kids are about 10 years old. Now they're 27. Now they have kids. And so the people that are the fanboys, the super fans, it makes sense that you're going to make something that's going to have a little bit more maturity for them, because it's aged and it's trying to hit those fans, the people that are fans of those of that original Clone Wars series.
I just didn't understand, because I overthink everything. I know, I'm sorry, but there's no way she had to know there's no way she's beating Darth Sidious and Dooku. So when she opened the door back up, why didn't she just run for a fighter? She'd already looked that way. If she'd done that, maybe she would have survived.
Yeah, she was walking into an L there. Did Ian McDiarmid voice Palpatine in this, by the way?
I do believe so.
Because he didn't voice him in the show, though, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because I was like, that's his voice. When I heard him talking, I'm like, that's Ian right there. I always called him Ian McDermott the American way, but I know it's like Ian McDiarmid. Like, I forget how you pronounce his actual name, like, properly. Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, Yaddle speaks like a normal person, so does that mean Yoda's a weirdo? I've seen a lot of people speculating on that. Like, if Yaddle talks normal, that's not a thing that whatever they are, does. It's just Yoda being a weirdo. And she spoke.
We have a small sample size, guys. We have a small sample size.
But
right
if you
now,
go back and watch the original trilogy, he doesn't talk like that nearly as much as he did in the prequel trilogy or the Clone Wars cartoon.
He also doesn't talk much in the original trilogy, where then in the Clone Wars cartoons, they have him talk quite a bit more.
Yeah.
and in the prequels.
I think they
But
overdid it.
I'm not
agree,
gonna argue that, but it's a small sample size, right? There are 3 known of the species, and one of which at this point hasn't said a word.
Still
So-
1/3.
So 1/3 talks weird. So it's a small sample size, man. Like anything can happen. I'll reserve my judgment on that when Grogu starts speaking in 2045.
Yeah, it's like our conversation we had about Chris Pratt with the Super Mario show. It's like they decided to go a bit more normal with his voice instead of going full, it's a me, the whole thing.
It's me, Mario.
Exactly. Brent does the voice excellent. They could have chosen Brent actually for it, but for an entire movie, it probably would have gotten a little overkilled. So Clone Wars decided to go full Yoda. They went all in on it. They spoke backwards the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, Yaddle also voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard, director of Mandalorian.
Becoming a Star Wars
Shows-
regular here.
She loves it. She loves Star Wars, and I've thrown her name out there. I've said the Mandalorian group of directors should be able to direct a Star Wars movie. All of them together, they are a great team, and I think they could make an incredible movie. It probably cost a shitload of money, but
Deborah Chow. Do you think
I
Deborah
think they
Chow
will.
has earned it?
no.
She directed season 1. I think she had
Her-
two episodes of season 1, and then she also was the showrunner for Kenobi.
Her Mando episodes are really good, and I think she would be a great part of the team. Absolutely. Like that's what I'm saying. I think a collaborative effort of those directors, that round table that you saw from season 1, you could take you could take all these guys and girls and put them in a room together, and for them to direct a movie, they'll make something incredible. It's automatic. It costs a lot of money. So pretty much for the Tales of the Jedi notes, I mean, there's obviously a lot more to it. We had Farmer Ahsoka later on, and she fought that Sith Lord. Do you guys have any info on that Sith Lord that she fought? Because I don't know anything about that.
Was it a
is he
Sith Lord or
something
just an Inquisitor?
Or
But it-
Inquisitor, I mean.
But it
Inquisitor.
wasn't even like a normal Inquisitor, and that was like giving me like Darth Nihilus, and like I don't know, he was wearing a mask that was different from the other Inquisitors that we've seen, and
Yeah. The
don't know.
bone face was odd to me, and when he was killed, it was the mask. Did the mask even shrivel up when he was killed as well?
so it may not have been a mask, but I don't know. Like looking at it,
Part
it was
of his
just
body or something.
it
Yeah.
just looked interesting. I don't know, like that was. But I do love the fact that Bail Organa was there. Bail Organa like helped her get away. Bail Organa helped that family relocate, and he finally said to her, "Are you ready?" And this is where the timeline gets in my head. He's like, "Are you sure you want to join this fight?" So theoretically, that Ahsoka episode, timeline-wise, could be happening right here when this Andor is going on.
Technically could.
And so that's just where and I guess that's my biggest problem with all of the jumbled up storytelling is the fact that trying to keep all that stuff straight.
Yep. And that's where book, people's book canon and people's live action canon and everything gets all jumbled up and everything. I mean, I saw a lot of people talking about how Ahsoka should have grabbed the sabers and they should have turned white. Apparently, I guess that happened in a book.
I think she has to like re-bleed them to make them white. I think that's the way it happened in the book, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I haven't read Ahsoka's novel, so I'm not like
In the
privy to any
novel
of
that was
stuff.
the 6th brother. Whether that's
Yeah.
still the case or not, I don't know. But in watching it, again, I know I think about this too much. I've said it before when we were talking about Kenobi. The Inquisitors, don't you just like feel bad about the Jedi that actually got killed by the Inquisitors? Because they don't
Yeah,
really
they
seem that
suck.
great.
I was ready
Once
for
they
this
face
battle.
a member of the A team, they're nothing. They're
Oh my
like I said, they're
God.
Team Rocket.
Yeah, they had the flames going around. They had this standoff and everything, and I'm like, what's gonna happen right now? Does Ahsoka have her, does she have like some kind of lightsabers hidden on her or whatever right now? Which I've said I don't know Ahsoka's lore like the back of my hand. I didn't know if she was if we were gonna see a lightsaber battle. Instead, we saw her, hand block a couple shots, steal his lightsaber, and kill him immediately. Basically, that guy looked awesome. The scene was awesome. She killed him in like 5 seconds.
It's because she's done all the training because Anakin forced her to do all the training.
That was pretty screwed up on Anakin's part, by the
Yeah,
way.
he was kind of an
Anakin was
ass.
just like, yeah, NFL concussion protocol would not have been a fan of what Anakin was doing. They would not have liked that.
How long were you
That's all I
out?
could.
How long were you out? An hour? Yeah, you can do it. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Get back to the training.
Again.
Didn't you feel bad for the clone troopers who had to stand there all day, like waiting on her to wake up? It was like hour after hour.
All right, time to shoot her again, boys. Let's go. Yeah, that was, but it was cool. It was cool, but yeah, Anakin really pushed her. It was like a different side of the Clone Wars Anakin that we haven't seen. I honestly think it was like a bit of a more adult situation, in my opinion. I don't know.
Was that Vader? Was that the beginning? Like, was that an aspect of Vader, or was that an aspect of like, hey, I didn't get enough training, so I gotta try to get this into you?
That to me, that goes back to, and I hate to bring it up once again, but if you go back and read like the Revenge of the Sith novels, yeah, or just the Clone Wars novels.
The novelizations. Are you talking about the novelizations?
The Clone Wars novels, also Anakin like kind of looked down on the other Jedi ability wise. I can. There's when they go to get Palpatine, Anakin basically says, "I should have been here. This wouldn't happen if I was here."
Right.
And Kenobi's like, well, he was surrounded by these masters who are inventive and clever, and he's like, well, I can beat 10 inventive and clever masters with one hand tied behind my back. That's the Jedi way. He was teaching her. This was the final test to be Anakin's Padawan, not a Jedi Padawan. I'm sorry, Anakin's Jedi Knight. His graduating student.
Yeah.
A level above the rest of the Jedi Knights.
Yep. And he more or less said that too, right? He's like she was like, "Are you proud of me?" He's like, "No, anyone can do that. Like, I need to see you do something more." Like, right? Like, so there's a part of me that likes that, but was that Vader in him, or is that just Anakin
I think
and his hubris?
The Vader that has always been in him to be better than everyone else. And think about it. The opening minutes of Revenge of the Sith, he saves Obi-Wan. He basically flies Obi-Wan's ship with his own ship. Mm-hmm. They land on Grievous's cruiser. He rescues Palpatine. He kills Count Dooku. He lands a half of a cruiser that's never it's not made to land.
Right, just the bridge.
And the Jedi are like, well, yeah, you're still not a master. Well, he basically just proved he's one of the most powerful Jedi of all time, but that's not what's important to be a Jedi. But to Anakin, that is what's important.
Right.
Yep. And I mean, that's what you see in Dooku's storyline that kind of makes him start to turn, that we saw, honestly, was him starting to question the council and saying, what are we doing here? Hearing what other people are saying about them and thinking you might have a point there,
Well, I mean, he sees corruption in the first story. He sees the corruption of the senator. He sees that this dude is basically just there for his own money. He is actually making these villagers, taking from these villagers, taking from their life, and this government is doing that to them, and he's complicit in it, right? Because he's supporting the government. So I think there's that, right? So he's pissed off at the corruption, and then in the second one, he finds out that there's the plot against the government, and I think that one guy right before his partner tries to kill them and he gets killed, and I can't remember the exact words of it, but basically said, the Republic is evil, and you'll figure it out sooner or later, or something like that. Like there was some sort of comment, and Dooku really it resonated with Dooku,
Yep.
and
Exactly.
that's what I like about the Dooku story. Were those types of things to see the turn? I like to see like you kind of see more detail of his turn and his fall. And I mean, even in the books that I remember hearing, you don't necessarily get that aspect. You didn't get that story. You didn't get that mission with Mace. And then even also Mace, the way they interacted right at the end, also with Mace Windu and Dooku. Basically, he said that Yaddle, or I think somebody gave up the seat so Mace could have the seat. Oh no, it's because the girl died, and they knew. And he said, "Did you know that before we left?" And he's like, "Well, you chose to go this route, and I'll talk to the council because of who you are."
Yep.
Basically, he didn't answer the question, so he knew that he was going to be on the council prior, right?
Yep.
I don't know, like
Yeah. Yeah. I think Mace had some prior knowledge to that situation. But I enjoyed seeing Qui-Gon's perspective because Qui-Gon is a different type of Jedi. And I mean, I've learned it from Master and Apprentice, which to me like really expanded on his character. Like he's just different, even though like, he could have been part of the council, whatever. Like he's a different style of Jedi. And, you can see the situations that he was in with Dooku where he saw, this is how Dooku handled it. And like, I understand this or that, but like, I understand what's right or wrong at the end of the day. And, it's part of him. So, if you guys, and like, honestly, to wrap up Tales of the Jedi, unless you guys have more points, if this would be the format, if they're choosing two Jedi to do it on, um, which I would love to see them expand this even beyond prequels, in my opinion. Like, I would like to see a Tales of the Jedi Luke Skywalker with Clone Wars animation. I think it would be badass. Like, do you guys have anybody that you would like to see featured in this show? Because I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty big success when the amount of people who watch this comes out. And I think we're going to hear about it similar to Star Wars Visions. Like, I think it's going to be something that we will see again.
I would like to see it flipped and maybe do a Tales of the Sith.
Oh, yeah. That would be excellent.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up loving Jedi, I will be more than interested in more stories that pertain to the Jedi and their background. But I don't know. You're kind of limited here to the A team because once you get to the B team, I don't know.
Yeah.
The stories wouldn't be that great.
It doesn't
I got
have the
beat by a
same
battle
draw.
droid.
Well, it doesn't have the same draw, and it'll be a niche market like we run into when we talk about Andor.
Right.
I mean, there'll be a whole host of things, right? Because I
Yeah.
mean, you could do a Kit Fisto one, right?
Or a Quinlan Voss.
Yeah,
That'd be a good one.
yeah. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that like, who are some of the others like obscure Jedi's that?
I mean, you go through the Clone Wars cartoon and animated television series.
Sure,
there's a lot
cartoon.
of Jedi that you could pick out. I mean, I can't really think of too many by name, but I mean the guy with the cane. I'm sure he's got some good stories.
Do you do clone stories? Because you bring
there's
it up
not
all
a
the
whole
time.
lot of Jedi that aren't during the clone times, unless you go back to the old Republic.
Do you do like a Jesse story? Do you do a Cody story? Do you do
well, they all kind of came from the same place, but I mean, I guess you could.
Well, because when they get set off, like, so whoever Ayla Secura had as her commander, they all kind of get sent out into different locations, and they have slightly different battles. And I know the Clone Wars is basically all about those battles, but I was just wondering, like, I don't know, do you do like a little arc like that? But I mean, so Kit Fisto is one that costo's the only one that comes to mind.
What if you combine it with your idea and have clones and Jedis, like the Jedi generals and their commanders?
Right.
Oh, that could be something good. Man, think of all the action figures you can sell with that.
And that's the reason why I said, do you do clones, is because you always bring up the fact that with all of this stuff that they have, with sequel trilogy, all of the Andor stuff, the Obi-Wan, they're coming out with more reprinted clones.
More clones.
And right, they just keep pumping clones out, right? So
because they're awesome. They are. I'll admit it. Clones are
right,
awesome.
right, and it's awesome to like you can repaint them and like just.
Oh, you could do 2-packs.
Reskin.
The Commander and the Jedi General.
I have an exclusive figure right here. It's an armless Boba Fett. So there he is.
What are you gonna do? Bleed all over me?
Yeah, yeah. We're still
Merely
building
a flesh
the.
wound.
We're still building the model here. Which
I'm
man,
glad
look at
somebody
this model.
caught that. I thought maybe that died there for a second.
Oh
Merely
no,
a flesh
I
wound.
know. I know. It's
Got
perfect.
your arm off. No, you didn't. It's laying
These are
right
the knights
there.
that say knee.
These
They're no
Bandai
longer the
models,
knights
you
that
always
say
build.
knee.
You always build the body, the head, and then the legs first. So every one of them, you will just have. I just came in and changed the topic, but you will always have this figure with no arms yet. So we're almost done this one, and I'm super happy with the look.
I'm gonna have to get that one.
All right,
Alfie, if you see it, buy it. Man.
Okay, I know we're talking Tales of the Jedi and we're getting off track here, but I gotta bring up one thing. You know, I went to Walmart yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay? The out of the way Walmart. I had a few minutes and I thought I can swing by this one real quick, see what we got. I mean, I'm like the dad changing tires in A Christmas Story. I've got it down to, you know, we're in and out in 7 minutes. You know,
I'm the same way. I'm the same way with Target.
So-
I tell my wife it takes me 3 minutes. I'm there. I look. I'm out. You know.
Yeah. I run in and they do have Black Series figures, and I picked up the Lando in the Skiff Guard.
Which is an awesome looking figure.
I put it back.
Oh, you did?
I walked out of there without buying a Star Wars figure. I don't know if, you know, I'm okay. Maybe I need to schedule a doctor's appointment or something. But
the first step is acceptance. The first step is acceptance.
Yeah. I almost did it.
Oh no, it's denial. Sorry, but
I almost did it with this. I was walking out with this and I'm just like, I've been critical of this show and I want this figure because there's elements of it that I like about it. I'm holding the Kenobi figure from the Kenobi show.
Now,
it's just
in my
he's the only one-
defense,
Go ahead.
I have told my wife has asked me to please stop buying so much because there's nowhere left to put it in our house. And I filled up all my honey holes so far. And I now have a stack of figures out in the open in the garage. And it just keeps getting bigger.
And that's dangerous in your situation. You've got you've got a major unboxer in the house.
Yes.
You know. So
it's awesome.
yeah, I mean, I would say we've hit on Tales of the Jedi. If you guys think we missed out on stuff, you can email us at Rule the Galaxy SW. But let's move on to Andor, guys, and what I think is going to be a negative review from Alfie, because we started off with the good news and now I think we're moving on to the bad news. Me personally, I enjoyed this episode. I like dialogue. I've made that clear on this show. I enjoy tension and building, which, don't get me wrong, there has been a lot of that in this show. There has been a lot of things, you know. But here's one thing I will say about Andor. I have not been able to get my wife to watch The Mandalorian, any of these shows. And every Wednesday night, she's there to watch Andor for some reason. And she has not watched any of this other stuff. And she's just like, all right, let's go. Like, she's interested in the different characters of this show, the story building of it, which she's a Game of Thrones fan, like stuff like that. But for some reason, she's in to watch this Andor show. So, you know, I'm starting it off with that. But first impressions of this episode, I'll start with Alfie. What'd you think?
Okay, look, I'm just going to be honest here. This is a great episode. This is a great show. It really is. It's got great everything. Great script, great dialogue, great actors, great acting, great cinematography, great sets, great visuals, great effects. Everything is great. It's not entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I see where you're
if this
going there.
show was not loosely, and I say loosely here, based in the Star Wars world, I would have stopped watching this after like the second episode. I'm just being honest. I've trudged through it, and last week I was very positive on. I really hope, but this was one episode too many, and something's got to happen. There's got to be some payoff at some point. In 9 episodes, or what is it, 8 episodes now? 8, right?
Mhm. Yep,
It's
8.
just too long. I would have stopped, and there's 1,000 other series to watch that would be a little more entertaining than this. And I think one of the biggest problems that I have with it right now, and you touched on it, is the fact that House of the Dragon is on at the same time. And it's a lot very similar show as far as the way it's made, but it is a lot more entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, the dialogue and the situations in House of the Dragon, it always feels like a lot higher stakes. Like you could be sitting on the edge of your seat for people just talking to each other in that.
Right.
Um
And I'm
where
watching
like
this episode, of this prison, and we're building up to a prison break. We saw it in the trailer. You could see Andor noticing the ineptness of the guards. He noticed where the boots were kept. He noticed that they don't keep a very tight schedule, that it's more ran by the work leader than that it is any of the guards. So a prison break's coming.
Mhm.
But I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm like thinking to myself, how long am I going to have to watch this to get to the prison break?
Next episode.
Well, this is a 3-episode arc.
I was
thought it was
thinking Brent's gonna want to watch the world
8,
burn,
9,
and he's
10,
gonna
and
want
then
the
11 and
prison.
12 are supposed to be their own 2-episode finale.
I was thinking, so I know like 10, 11 and 12 were the same. I was thinking that this was a 2-episode thing because last episode didn't have it was like a non-episode. It was kind of like what he kind of said it was a filler. It just wasn't part of an arc.
Right.
And so that was what, 7? This is 8. Okay, so it would be a 3-episode arc. I apologize. So Prison Break will probably
That's
be
all right.
it'll probably be 2 episodes out. I was thinking that it was going to be the next one because I thought it was a 2-episode arc, just like the final was a 2-episode.
And I get it, and I hate to complain because I really do like the show. I like so many things about it, but it's just that not being entertained. And I know that's a silly thing to say, but with the small amount of time that I have to indulge things, this is not what I would choose to spend it on. It's just way too slow of a show.
There's nothing that makes me want to come back. There's no cliffhanger. There's no strong draw. The only thing that's keeping me back is like just the intrigue, right? There's no the season episode 9 they take off in a dragon, right? Like there wasn't much going on, but they took off in a dragon. It was like, oh shit, right?
Yeah,
like
what's
there was
going
that
on
there
here?
was kind of that oh shit moment, or there was something like the heist is at this point the epitome, and that was the heist, and the aftermath of the heist was we were like, oh, what's going to happen now?
Right.
That was what kept you around. So that was episode 6. We're now 2 episodes past that. Completely understand where you're coming from, and I do remember you saying similar things about Bad Batch when we were watching Bad Batch, because it wasn't as entertaining as we wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that's a valid criticism of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because there just isn't like a cliffhanger. There isn't something that's like, now I think Star Wars fans are looking for some sort of reveal or looking for some sort of like twist at the end of every episode. I think there's some of that within the fan base. Just listening to the way people are responded to Boba Fett and responded to the Mandalorian, because it seems like there's some sort of reveal. There wants some sort of like earth-shaking thing that happens at the end. But I just need something that wants me to come back.
Right. And it's not fair to compare the two because they're 2 different shows and they're 2 completely different styles of filmmaking. But I can rewatch The Mandalorian from start to finish, watch every episode. Sure, I might skip a few things here or there, but let's say, I'm at home doing nothing. Hey, I might throw on the Luke episode. I do not see anything so far. But it's 8 episodes in. By now, there should have been at least one thing where I'm going to say, I want to go back and rewatch that. I can't wait to go back and rewatch this.
Yeah. I actually agree with that. I mean, there should be more situations because like I think they're building a good story. It's similar it's similar to me where you look at where you need to find that happy medium. I love the dialogue of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. That show is able to survive on that stuff because they do it the right way. But then there's also some Marvel movies I'm watching in the newer phases where I'm just like, I was entertained by it, but story wise, where the hell are we going? It's like that happy medium between the two of them where it's like you can have the best of both worlds. And I think this show is trying to do that. I feel like the credits roll on this show at times where I am just not expecting it to. When the credits rolled this week, I was like, "What? Okay." As you've talked about cliffhanger wise or whatever, it's like, getting into spoilers, whatever, for this episode, you know, you probably could have even just ended this episode when that guy just decided to basically off himself on the floor in the jail cells. And that would probably leave you with a bit more curiosity for next week. Rather than where it ended, I really don't. I just felt like it was just a very normal scene and then credits rolled. What was if you guys remember, I only got to watch it once, but I just remembered last night being like, that was an odd point for this episode to end.
If I remember correctly, he was just working on fixing whatever those
Yeah.
star-shaped things were.
Yeah, he just started working on whatever it is that they're building, which we were theorizing on that in our group text today. But, it just ended with them working and just like, all right, on to the next one.
So let's put it out there because if somebody's listening to us, they might have their own pieces of information. When I was watching it, for some reason, my brain went to either the feet of the AT-AT, for whatever reason, I like the claw or the foot of the AT-AT, or I was thinking, well, if it's not, it can't. There's not that many AT-ATs in the Imperial Force. Then it must be some sort of like joining, like so they're creating the bolt that holds the stuff together for Star Destroyers. That's where my brain was at with that. So I just don't know where it's at, right? Because obviously they're putting something together that looks like it's in a star shape, and it looks like it's some sort of an attachment piece. So that's what I try to come up with. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I thought the same as you, Brent. I'm going to go to Alfie on this because I thought AT-AT legs.
Yeah, I really had a actual fun time trying to figure this one out, and I don't have a clear answer. I really hope they give us an answer. I thought maybe some part of the curve of the Death Star,
Okay,
where I guess the dish is at, where the beam comes out, maybe,
Yeah.
but it also looked like the part on the TIE fighter wing where it connects to the strut. But the thing that's got me kind of thinking differently is they were putting in the bearings and these pivot points.
right.
And that's where I thought it might be like the connecting part from the body of the probe droid to all the arms.
Yep. Yeah, that is
So it would be
interesting,
the
too.
underneath part
Right.
and the arms. So that okay, because those things looked. I mean, they're about 6 foot tall, right? Essentially, because they were the size of a human when they were finished. By the time they put them onto the cart where the guy was pushing the cart, they were about a 6 foot tall piece. So I was thinking it was a little too big to be when you brought that up. In my brain, I was thinking it's a little too big to be the probe droid, but if it's the underneath of the probe droid,
And like I said, it could be a toilet seat or, the mechanism for the Imperial washing machines or something, on a Star Destroyer.
Exactly.
But who knows?
could be plumbing.
Yeah.
Be plumbing.
Hey, I'd be in with that. I mean, I liked
What?
the assembly line idea of it. I thought it was pretty cool. Being a guy who works with tools every day, I did enjoy that.
Right. I liked that too. And I thought, what if it was like I would say like the pump or the rotor for these pumps that you see outside the base that are constantly sucking the water down. So
That's not a bad call at all,
the
actually.
prisoners are actually making the device that keeps the prison running.
Yeah, that's not a bad call at all. And I mean, guys, at the same time, who the hell is their freaking sector leader? Andy Serkis is in this
Right.
freaking episode, which I thought he played a good
Gollum?
role in it.
Yeah.
Schmeagol?
Gollum.
Yeah, he was a good role. That guy is a great actor. I mean, if you think about it, he is a known, the special effects actor. He's been like every CGI character that we've known our entire lives.
Absolutely.
But he can actually come out from behind that and is a great actor.
He's
great in the Marvel movies.
I was gonna say he's in Marvel. He's a Marvel guy too.
You owe me a Coke.
But no,
yeah.
And then obviously there was somebody on one of my forums. It was like, oh look, it's Snoke, and we're getting a backstory for Snoke now.
I was hoping it would not be that when I saw him. I did not see anything on Twitter about him or anything, and when I saw him, I was like, this better not be some Snoke stuff. Like, I don't want that in this. I really don't.
Is that the fan service you were referring to on Wednesday? Was Andy Serkis?
No, that's Melshi.
Who's Melshi?
Andor's right-hand man from Rogue One. You didn't even pick it up, did you?
No.
Yeah, if you think back to Rogue One, the guy who led all the troops onto Scarif, planted all the bombs on the landing pads, and then Andor calls them. They're inside the base, him and Jyn Erso, and he says, Melchi, light it up.
Interesting.
Okay.
And he's one of the guys on his building team?
He's one of the guys on his building team.
No shit.
You said he was going to recruit.
Well, there's also some stuff going on inside this prison. We saw sign language being sent from the tube, once he was getting deeper into this, and he was having that, oh my God, I can't believe I was just in, Star Wars Miami doing my thing, and here I am now. Like this show, if there's one thing it's wanted to do, it's they want to show that Andor doesn't miss out on anything. He does not miss out on a weakness in your guard. He does not miss out on people who are trying to plan the same thing that he wants to do, because obviously he wants to get the hell out of this place. So is Melshi one of the guys who was doing involved in that kind of stuff, or I'm trying to think. I saw one guy's name was Ham.
Ham.
That's
subtitles. My favorite. His name is Ham.
Yeah. I saw that on Twitter today because I make my wife turn off the subtitles.
Okay, and one guy that's in their group, let me find it here. Oddliff, I think, the old guy that's in their group.
He reminds me of 99.
Okay, that is Christopher Fairbank, and you have to go back to 1989 Batman. He's the guy at the beginning of the movie that Batman held up and he said, "Who are you?" And he said the classic line the first time, "I'm Batman."
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's obviously the weak point in their group, and I know that Andor's probably going to, chip in and help him to...
No, he's going to kill him.
Do you think so? To help
he's only got 50 days left.
What, the old guy only had 50 days left?
Yeah.
I thought Serkis,
50 shifts.
I thought Serkis was
he's got 200 and some.
Yeah, and you're not going to mess with me.
Right. So if you think about it, that poor old guy was close to days away from getting out, and then they doubled their sentences.
Mm-hmm. And one of the best lines of this was when everybody was kind of talking it up, and they're like, come on, ask him about it. They're asking people to ask Andor what's going on since he's, the new guy on the group. And they're like, what'd you do? And he's just like, nothing. I didn't do anything. They're asking him what's going on out there about the rebellion. And, he's kind of playing stupid, whatever. I think he's just still shell shocked that he's in this situation that he's in. Yeah, so it's interesting. You can tell the guys in there do not want to be in there. They want to get the hell out. And as Alfie said, with the trailer, we know they're going to. And with the storyline, we know about Andor.
He has to get out at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they first get to the prison, well, actually, before they get to the prison, when they're standing in line on Space Miami, sorting everybody out, the guy in front of Andor gets sent to Belsavis, which is a planet from the 1995 novel Children of the Jedi, and that was a ice planet that the Jedi sent Padawans to escape the purge.
Interesting.
The shore troopers are voiced by Sam Witwer. And
Really?
yes.
Oh, that jacks me up. I love Sam Witwer.
When they get to the prison, he says that the floors are tungstoid steel. And that's from a 2009 Fate of the Jedi novel called The Abyss, is where that was first mentioned.
Yeah, and they're evil human beings because they just take pleasure in watching them get tweaked.
Yep.
Did you notice that the boots all have an Imperial insignia on the bottom of them? Because I kind of want a pair now.
I just thought that they looked like Jordans. They were like Star Wars,
and
Jordans.
They were orange, which was kind of odd.
Yeah, they had like an orangish color.
Yep.
Can we talk about my boy Slapface for a minute?
Yes, Slapface.
So,
let's get on him.
So
I have Slapface in my notes. I have him written down as Slapface.
I love Joe called him Slapface as well. So Cyril, man, like he gets pulled away by some Imperial officers, and there's a part of him that's like, oh shit, they're coming. Like there's got to be this internal like they're gonna help me redeem myself. She takes him and she's like, all right, so what are you not telling us about this report? And he's like, I don't even know what the report is. She said, you signed off on it. Well, yeah, I was forced to sign off on it. Right. He helps her. He goes through, tells her all the information that he knows. And I think he thought, and I thought this too, that she would bring him on as an underling or to help out.
Mm-hmm.
And she just got the information she needed, and she's like, nah, go. Like, we're going to move on without you. And I thought he was going to get brought back in, and I think he thought so too, because that's what he was standing up at the end trying to plead his case. Like, look, I know this stuff. Like, bring me along. And she was like, nah, I'm moving on. Which I just thought, I thought she was going to have a heart, but she just proved herself to be an Imperial.
And see, like with this scene, this is one of the things I'm talking about. We're in episode 8. I would have thought that would have happened a lot sooner than this. As we're really running out of time here for them to go back to Ferrix and start putting the pieces to this puzzle to find Andor together. But
yeah.
But they really didn't need to find Andor until 6, because they didn't think that there was anything. They didn't think that there was any connected rebel organization, right? So
I'm just saying it's been 8 episodes. We all know that Cyril and Deidre are going to join forces at some time. It's like, can we get there and move on to something else?
But I don't know if they're going to join forces, is what I'm getting. I'm now under the impression that she's done with him because she got the information that she needed. Now he's not done because it's still eating at him, because he feels like he's got to go take vigilante justice out on.
So that means we have at least one more episode with him trying to get involved into the Imperial investigation.
Yeah. Either that or it's done, and what Brent said, he's just going to go out on his own and do this stuff, because apparently working at his station, he's just screwing around.
He will let down the family if he does that.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think he'll care at this point.
Right.
I think he's just going to be like, screw it. I really don't care.
If he cared about the family, he would have taken the job from the jump, and he tried to do what he wanted to do. That's why Mom slapped him, because she's like, look, you fell back to me. He tried to go out on his own, and he doesn't want the family. He doesn't care about the family and embarrassing the family. Yep. And at this point, all he cares about is casting Andor. What would you say? She said he requested information on him like 6 times.
7 actually.
Or 5,
I like that he corrected her. Yeah, because he wasn't even there to be of any use. She just wanted to know why he kept filing false reports.
Right.
And she told him to stop at the end of it. So
Yeah, but then she goes back to that planet, and there she is torturing. She's on to Bix. She's on to his other buddy, who was you know another close friend of Andor's, I would say. Bix walked into the room and saw him tortured, and
How
Deidre
about
was
that
like,
play
"What the
though?
hell are you doing?"
Right. How about that play though? Like they're like, do we want to move him
Yeah,
before?
that was good.
This is like, no, leave him here, right? Like, and so then as soon as Bix comes in, it's like, what is he doing here? Get him out of here, right?
Yeah,
Basically, like making sure Bix sees what they just did to him, so she knows that. I mean, it's a psychological game that she's playing with, but it was awesome. I liked that.
yeah. I like her character. I mean, I like a lot. I like a lot of these characters that they're introducing us to in this. I really do. I mean, I do agree with Alfie's point that there's things that could be moving faster. I mean, honestly, to me, this prison episode for Andor could have been like the Mandalorian season 1 heist episode with Bill Burr, where it's like a 1 episode arc where it's like, all right, this is where you're at, and you get out of it and at the same time, and you introduce these characters in this situation and this storyline, but you can get out of it in 1 episode. And I mean, we're probably going to get 2 out of it, where it's like, I did think heist wise on that, Highlands planet, we were going to get, you know maybe 2 episodes out of that, and it turned into 3. So things are definitely getting strung out a little bit longer in this, but I am still thoroughly enjoying it, I'll say. Because
I
I
like
go
the
into it
show.
with lower expectations, I'll say. Like, that's kind of like, I don't know if action's going to happen this week, which kind of sucks at the same time, but it's spread out. It's a spread out storyline, and I get it that it is slowly trudging along, but I do think it's going to pay off big time, and I'm hoping for that. I'm on the hype train on that. I'm the conductor now. I'm the conductor on the hype train now.
I will just say that I felt the same way about Game of Thrones until season 3. I felt like Game of Thrones trudged along and was very much like this until it hit the Red Wedding, and then the Red Wedding, I felt like things changed. But that's me.
Yeah.
I didn't know the books. I only know the movies. I only know the TV show. So again, and we make this comparison. This is very Game of Thrones like. Like there is a
Yep.
it is the intrigue. It's the dialogue. It's the spy thriller. It's if you're into the Game of Thrones, you're gonna love this show. Like that's I feel like that's the case. If you're into the pew pew adventure, uh, buddy cop, I'm trying to think of like a movie like just blow them up, shoot them, then you're probably gonna be turned off and not as entertained for sure.
Yes. Which those are nice too. It's like I like the best of both worlds, and I do think this could add another dash. It just needs a little bit more flavor of action, which I think would be good for it. But I
It,
still am
to
locked
me,
in.
it's just not necessarily action. It's just going somewhere, getting something done, rather than just keep. It's like this story, like I just said with Deidre and Slapface. This has been going on for like 4 episodes. Go somewhere with this and go move the story. I get it. It's good, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So, another point in this show, we have Bix going on to the call signal to try to call out to see where the hell Andor is, because his mom is trying to start the rebellion on this planet. Bix is sending the signal. Luthen's I hate to call her Luthen's secretary. I know she has a name, and I don't want to call her Luthen's secretary, but
It's not. It's Clea. It's not Leia. It's Clea.
Clea is there, and she's saying you're getting weak. You need to chill the hell out. Like we're in this stuff. You're gonna get your ass caught, and then we have Luthen and Saw Gerrera meeting up with each other. So what were you guys' thoughts on that stuff? I mean, the Saw Gerrera conversation, as I said, I only saw this episode 1 time. I wish I could have watched it twice, because I felt like there was a lot that happened conversation wise with Saw Gerrera, because what was Luthen's main goal of meeting with Saw Gerrera? Is he trying to get information as to where Andor is from him? Does he think that Saw Gerrera possibly knows, or he's trying to sell him for information? It's like
I
that
thought he was trying to get
conversation
air
escapes
support
me.
for another mission that
raid?
he was setting up.
Yeah. That's why I couldn't remember, because that conversation happened so fast to me. I'm just like, one day later, I'm just like,
I
what
think
the
it
hell
was
Luthen
also
asking?
a little not in so many words test between the two. I think it was Luthen testing himself. Is this actually going to happen? Are we going to come together and fight, or is everyone else's self-interest going to stand in the way? And he tried to
Yeah.
sell him on a job that Saul's he didn't care for the person that was in charge of it, and it wasn't worth what Luthen was offering.
Yeah. So Luthen's making deals with Saw Gerrera, and it's like, and those, it's like we're probably going to see those two sides of the rebellion pan out, because Saw Gerrera is hardcore extremist when it comes to the rebellion, and it seems like Luthen is trying to plan it out the Mon Mothma way. So that was definitely interesting. What do you got, Brent?
Mon Mothma's boy is going to get killed. He's going to do something. He's going to get caught, and he's going to get executed. Like that dude, the banker, the banker.
Squirrely.
I don't think that banker is long for this world. I think that dude is going to get hemmed up in something, because he's trying, and they're tightening the grasp, and they're being a lot more overbearing, and there's a lot more oversight, and it's not going to work. And I just see him getting caught up, and I don't think he'll turn in Mon, but I think he'll bite the bullet, but I think he will get axed. That's my prediction.
Did you guys think in this episode, the way the daughter questioned almost her time with him, and the way her husband did you guys think that this might personally be me, but did you guys think that it implied that they think something's going on with her and him,
Yes.
relationship wise, that she's like having an affair with him or something? Because I personally felt that way. I felt like she was like, why do you care where he is? Like, you're spending all this time with him, like whatever, and she knows her parents have this disconnected relationship. I kind of caught that.
I agree.
Because he was similar.
This is another thing, just like with the Deidre and Slapface. I mean, I think it feels like we keep having the same scene in each episode between these 3 or 4 characters. I get we're building something here. There's going to be her daughter or her husband making a mistake that's going to open up a bigger door as far as exposing the rebellion or something much larger than what they think is just an affair. But my goodness, could we please get there? It's the same scene over and over again.
It is actually.
It's different. It's a different dinner party. But
it's the same awkward scene between the family. It's just like, we get it. You've established this. Let's move the story a little bit more.
Yep, I agree. Looking at my notes here, as far as this episode goes, I mean, pretty much I think we've hit on most of the points. I mean, the Empire is laying their iron fist down right now, and we're seeing it. Andor is stuck in the middle of it, and Luthen and the rest of the gang are trying to stay away from it. And Luthen seems okay. It's funny to me how it does kind of suck, but Luthen's like, we want them to torture people basically, so they see how bad they're going to be.
Yeah.
We need the reaction to be way overbearing.
Yep. And then as far as the next episode goes, I mean, to me, it's just Jailbreak. Next episode is Jailbreak, and that's I don't know what the hell else storyline wise will happen, but I know Andor is going to probably get the hell out of there next week. And what he does next, I don't know. And how people are going to find out where he is, I don't know either. Because I don't know if he told Mom where he was going, because he said, I'll be back in the day. So I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know. And I'm really hoping with these slow burn shows like this, because I keep thinking back to like Breaking Bad, how like there would be some significance to this little item that would come back, and it made me think of that case that he left on top of the shower. Is it still there? Is it still full of money? Did the girl in the room find it? There's his little Jason Bourne spy kit was in there with all of his IDs and stuff. I don't know. How will he get off the planet? It's an Imperial planet. It's going to be all Imperial ships. You would think as soon as he leaves space, he's caught. But last episode, we saw a Star Destroyer show up over where they did the heist, but somehow the Cinta got off the planet. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah. And how about Val and Cinta hanging out on Freex trying to find as much information as they can about Andor and like the cell that was building and that crew. And then basically Val wants to get the hell out because she's like, dude, this isn't necessarily what I thought it was. And Cinta's like, no, this is life or death. Like, we have to, like, basically, if you love me, you'll keep fighting.
Yeah. But I can't help but to think, how is anyone there going to know what Andor did? Because he basically went off, found a woman, and went on vacation and didn't tell anybody about it. And now he's stuck on this prison. So it's like the only way that they're going to find out where he is, to me, is if the Empire finds out who he is. I don't know, coming up.
But that's the last known place that they have, right? So that's the information. You got to start there if you're going to be a bloodhound and you're going to do a manhunt. You got to start with your last known location.
Yeah, and maybe his mom will say, oh, he's gone to this place before when he's gotten some money, so maybe she'll know that he went there and wound up in this prison. I don't know. I mean, I think the prison escape is going to be solid, and I'm hoping we're going to get K2SO Discovery pretty soon.
That was the other part that I thought they were making too. Like, first time that I saw it, until I saw them making stars, I thought they were making the K2 droids. And in my head, like, before they showed all the pieces, I was like, oh, they're making K2 droids. Maybe this is how he gets and makes K2, right? So I was thinking maybe as he was working, he does some little fiddly and inputs some sort of information into and programs him differently.
Takes a little piece back to a cell every day, puts it together, makes his best buddy.
Right. But then it turns out that's something else.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to have to off Andy Serkis in this, by the way? Do you think he's going to have to take him out to get out, or do you think Andy Serkis is going to join in with them once he sees this happen?
He's going to have to gunsmoke him.
I mean, we're said Slatface. I was waiting to try to work in a Gunsmoke.
I've been waiting for like an hour to work Gunsmoke in.
No one got Gunsmoke this week. No one got Gunsmoke.
No.
But someone's getting Gunsmoked in the future. We know it. We know that's going to come. So
I'm telling you, I think it's the banker. I think the banker's going to get it.
I could see that.
I could see it too. I could definitely see that. So, yeah, I mean, we're trudging along here. I'm enjoying it. I'm not like I don't know. I don't have many negative thoughts about the show, honestly. I get it though. Like I do think they could do some things differently while building this environment that they are. It's different. It's definitely different.
It was definitely different. I mean, this episode looked like somebody took a hit of acid and watched THX 1138, and then at the same time was listening to Stranger Things and decided to put all of those weird late 70s, early 80s synthesizer creepy sounds in it.
Okay, what about you mentioned the not the logo, but when the logo comes on, the theme
the
song,
opening theme, how it changes every week.
I honestly never picked up on it until this one, and I was like, what the hell is the theme? Like, that is nowhere near the same.
It sounded like a hammer banging in the background.
It was weird. It was synthy, was it? It was like a synthesizer. It was just
that is always lost on me. The music is not something that I pick up on when you talk about like Yoda cues or Ahsoka cues or like all of those theme music. Like that stuff doesn't.
Why do you always make it seem like I'm the only one that
I
talks
say
about
you
these
guys. I said you guys. When I was on with what is it? The Duchess.
things?
The Duchess talks about it too. Like that's the one that that's who I was thinking about when I was talking about it. Was like the Duchess picks up on it. One of the guys that I was playing Star Wars Legion with on the weekend was talking about like the sound cues. It's like sound is so lost on me, but I will say the intro caught me like completely like what the hell? That's
Yeah.
like I was expecting a similar intro and it was not the same.
Yeah, it's different every week, and there's a different sound that stands out every week. One time it was a piano, another episode it was like real loud percussion.
So do you think it's the
Yep.
same one? They're just heightened like the same theme, but they're just heightening different pieces of it?
I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure. I just know that this soundtrack is different than any other Star Wars content we've ever gotten because The Mandalorian follows a very similar theme throughout. You know, you think about movies where their themes mix together, even for different scenes, whether it's like Harry Potter or obviously Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, things like that, Game of Thrones. Themes differ, but they sound similar. This one changes a lot for this show. As Alfie said, you know, you could go from drums like hitting to like then like, you know, maybe some violin to then maybe some piano. Like this one, it changes all
Wasn't
around.
it the first episode that had like a metal like
Oh yeah.
sound
When he was
to it?
walking through that
Yeah.
scrapyard, it was like hardcore drums. I was like, holy shit, this is different.
And
To
I
me,
just
like,
noticed this episode there were so many like it just sounded like an episode of Stranger Things.
Yeah.
That sound it makes when you transition from scene to scene.
Yeah. I'm on the bandwagon of, to me, a theme can make or break a show, in my opinion. I don't think the Rings of Power, you know, scores are memorable at all to me. The Lord of the Rings soundtracks are some of the favorite things I've ever listened to. I'll be doing a plumbing project and I'll be listening to the Fellowship of the Ring soundtrack where I'm just listening to Howard Shore's music and people will walk in and be like, what the hell are you listening to? I'm just like, Lord of the Rings. Like I'm all in on that. I think it's one of the things that makes Game of Thrones next level because I think Ramin, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Ramin Djawadi or whatever, however you pronounce his name, produces some of the best soundtracks for that show as far as what the mood is in that show. And John Williams obviously is the GOAT of that. So you can just go through his catalog and play everything.
But you know, like you saying make or break a series, think about all the hoopla we made about him coming back for Kenobi, and I honestly can't tell you anything about that music.
No. And Howard Shore did the intro to Rings of Power, similar to what John Williams did with Kenobi. And I can't tell you that I skipped the intro on Rings of Power, but that's another story for me. I plan to do a Rings of Power episode and bring Adam Bray on for it because I know that he has strong opinions on it. I want to hear what he has to say about it. That's for Rule the Galaxy After Dark, though. That's for the other world.
We can't have that here.
Yes. So, yeah. So I think we hit on pretty much all of our points tonight. Do you guys got any final thoughts on anything we're hitting tonight? Any other topics or anything?
Nah. I just want to see the world burn, and let's put the episode 12 is when you're gonna get the prison break.
Exactly. I knew you were gonna say that. You're gonna want 3 episodes on prison.
I think it's 10, but you know, and I keep saying I don't want to sound too negative because I do like this show. I watch it. I usually watch it twice, but I want to love it, and I don't. If it was, like I said, if it wasn't Star Wars, I would not have made it this far watching this show.
I mean, I hear you saying the same thing. Like it's in the Bad Batch region as far as quality
Yeah.
for you, because I feel like you said very similar things when we were talking Bad Batch and Bad Batch reviews.
Yeah, I don't need another Rogue One. I don't expect the Rebel fleet to come out, over scare. If I don't expect a Darth Vader hallway scene, but it needs just a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think slight tweaking wise, it could probably definitely be even better than it is. But like compared to some of the other, like to me, I like this show better than Kenobi, which is insane to me.
9 out of 10 categories. This has got a solid 10, and it's just that 10th category, which is entertainment value, and I that's where I feel it's lacking.
Yeah,
and maybe that's there. You could I'll take it if you say I'm a shallow person or something, but I just don't have time to commit to a show like this if it's not Star Wars.
Yeah,
I'm going
agree.
to find something a little bit more entertaining to watch.
Take that and multiply it by 10, and that's Rings of Power, where basically you watched an entire season of a show and essentially nothing happened.
If I hadn't got paid to watch that show, I wouldn't have finished it. I
said that to my wife probably episode 5 or 6. I said, if this did not have Lord of the Rings name attached to it, will we still be watching this show? Absolutely
I'm sitting
not.
at work with, a lot of free time getting paid to watch, stuff because I'm a mechanic. It's like being a firefighter other than no fires. Okay.
I know it.
Just metaphorically. Okay. It's a lot of sitting around waiting for something to happen. So I've watched a lot of series on the clock and I struggled to watch that one.
Yep, it was. So that's why Andor is not, to me, it's not there. It's not there. I think it's building a good story. I think it's introduced some good new characters that I'm excited to see what happens in the long run here. And I think there is going to be, similar to Rogue One, I think there is going to be some crazy stuff that happens to finish this season off. Probably some twists and turns we might not expect, but I'm still holding out hope for this show that it's really going to knock it out by the end of season 1. So
when Mando shows up for 2 episodes, it's really going to turn the corner.
What if they bring in Boba Fett for this one though? What if they decide to say, let's do, a Boba Fett, 1.5 on this one, there you go.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, then again, timeline wise, it doesn't make sense. Whatever.
Nobody's going to come in and save the day. He's going to leave Tatooine and come in and save the day.
Exactly.
Time wise, I'm just going to drop this out because it's never going to happen. But time wise, because you have Yularen there in that room and he's on a data pad, you could theorize that he's talking to somebody who is also dealing with a rebel incursion at this point.
Thrawn.
And that would be Thrawn.
Yeah. Is this wouldn't be, no, because that's towards the end of Rebels. This is right around the beginning of Rebels, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but Thrawn didn't join the Empire in Rebels.
True. But he wasn't dealing with the rebel incursion.
But the rebels knew who they were or who he was as soon as he showed up.
True.
I wouldn't be surprised to hear a Thrawn name drop in this. I think that would be pretty awesome. We're going to have a visual shot of Vader and Palpatine at some point in this show.
And
I'm betting money on it. Book it. I'm betting.
I know we're trying to end
I'll take that bet. That bet.
One thing that I was disappointed with was that we did not see that special Senate session with Palpatine in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was him as a hologram, I wouldn't even care, And there's been too much mention of Palpatine for us to not at least hear his voice or see him at one point. I think we will see him at one point.
I think so. You don't get that guy dressed up that way and not just go ahead and shoot some footage. You've got the technology.
I don't think they did it.
We're going to see it at some point.
I don't think so.
We're going to see Vader or Palpatine at one point. Book it.
Don't think so. I don't think
I
you'll
think
see
so.
Vader. I don't
Send
think
it
you'll see
into
Vader.
send it in. It's gonna
I
happen.
think Palpatine, not Vader. But then
I would-
again, why
I
not?
would lean more towards Palpatine than I would Vader. All right, we've tried to wrap it up 3 times now. At this
All right.
point,
Yeah, I just got a text actually from my wife that said it's 11. Shut the
I
F
hear a
up.
clock tolling. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, that is Rule the Galaxy chapter 176. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you ever want to email us, you can find us at rulethegalaxysw@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at rulethegalaxysw. You can find us on YouTube, Rule the Galaxy Podcast. You can find us on TikTok, Rule the Galaxy Podcast. And you can find us on Etsy, Rule the Galaxy Podcast, all caps. I'm pretty sure I hit all of them right there. So
Nicely done.
yes, from DDoc, from Brent, from Alfie. Until the next time, may the force be with you.